morning, Zach. We're back in open session, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, very good. We'll move right into it. Were there any adjustments, modifications? So we're good. And I'm not seeing any public comment period necessary as we have no speakers signed up.
No one came out tonight, I didn't think.
And apparently that was the board response that we'll go with. For the record, that we noted the weather tonight, Pat, there was some question whether we would have a meeting, but
I sent it.
I did see that. I did not know we had a tornado watch. I said, what weather alert? And back to Jennifer. And I was given information that there was indeed a tornado watch. But neither tornadoes or rain or lack of power stops us from meeting, because we will continue to do so. Anybody else have anything they care to share? Excellent new teacher orientation today, and perhaps Dr. Brown will mention that. Let's go into the consent agenda. Fair amount in the agenda. If anyone wishes to speak to any items.
I'll move the consent agenda as presented in the agenda.
Second.
Anything anyone needs to ask about? We're all good?
It's a short list.
It is. I thought it was a fairly long list, actually. Okay.
Surprising.
All right. Very good. If there are no questions or comments, all in favor? That's everyone. So very good. And so, Dr. Brown, I guess we're down to you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. But first, and most importantly, our young people are back on athletic fields and playing courts. So if you have an opportunity, please go out and see our folks playing. The lights are working, which is important also. And so I think our football team starts the season at the Carrier Dome this year. And I'll give that date to you all. And you're invited to come. I'll be babbling up, and Ms. Little will be babbling up as well. And we have other athletic events happening in the next week or two. So it's an exciting time. We welcome 58 new teachers today at IHS. They're going to be there for, today was the first of 3 days.
Tomorrow we're going on a bus trip.
Tomorrow we will be going on a bus tour throughout our community. So I will say it was the most diverse group I've seen in my tenure here, probably ever. It was great to see the diversity in the group, age, gender, race, and some very sharp and excited people. So it's a great time. I want to thank Lynn Vanderwerf, Zach Lynn, and the folks who are facilitating that conversation. And thank you to the board members who came out today to welcome and introduce yourselves to our new employees. That's all I have.
Oh, very good, Dr. Ryan.
And I would just add that a couple of the new hires are ICSD graduates. One young woman came up to me and said, "You were my English teacher." And then there was another young man, he and his wife have come here from Philadelphia, and she's going to be a BJM, he's going to be Southfield.
That couple that Maura's talking about, I had the great pleasure of teaching that young man at LACS. I had the pleasure of teaching that young man at Ithaca College. And he came up to me and said, and it's in a great night, you'll be my board member. So it is a fascinating, but as a reminder of the work that we do in the community and how much we literally pay it forward, that we have folks who come back who want to be vested in the profession and doing great work. And those are two phenomenal educators we were able to recruit from Philadelphia, so I'm excited that they have them here. But it was a great day. Liddy and Ray as well was doing some, the part that I saw was, I did say to the group, it was thought-provoking and profound that was the orientation we're welcoming folks into. It's an exciting district in that regard, so good work.
Very good. Anyone else?
Go
ahead.
I attended most of the orientation as well. I missed Dr. Brown, but I sat through the 3 afternoon sessions, and this was a pretty impressive group. Didn't seem to be a group of people just out of school. Mm-hmm. Some of these people have significant experience from as far away as California. Mm-hmm. And these Liddy and Zach And even Adam had very little time, but I think they did an excellent job sort of framing what these folks are getting into. So that was pretty cool. And I went to the fields this morning, not knowing that it was the first day that the kids would be back. And man, that was amazing to see. I think almost every team we have was out there on the field this morning.
Yeah.
And it was something to see those faces back, man. The system is humming back to life. You get a sense of just how big it is if you catch the first glimpse of it.
I just want to say, I was able to go to the luncheon part, and I just had a lot of really nice conversations with some of the teachers, so I was very excited. They all seemed really excited, so that was nice to see.
Excellent. Anything else, Dr. Brown? Anyone else? So let's move on. The committees are listed again. We talked about this at our earlier meeting in August. All committees have had an opportunity to meet now, correct?
Yes.
But not perhaps everyone together, correct? Is there anything that we need to update today on this list? I think you're probably just getting up and going. But we will have our monthly updates done for typically the second meeting. Right, so typically at the second meeting, that's why they're here. But typically during that second meeting, just for our own benefit, just getting an update on all the those work session topics that we have listed here. They're not committees; they are work sessions. So appreciate all that. So we're going to just move on to school district business, and we're going to get right back into a policy that we saw before.
Please. I'll move policy 8505, charging school meals for a second reading and possible adoption.
Second.
Well, that was a tie. I'm not sure. I'll give it to Maura.
Folks have seen this policy. If I can, I'll speak to it briefly.
Please, yeah.
This is the second time we've gone on this policy. We've had some work in policy committee. The policy committee, unfortunately, didn't have the full time to be able to meet during our first meeting. Moira had to hold the fort down for us, as both Pat and I were otherwise unavailable. My only hesitancy about this policy, and I know it's a New York State, it's a federal regulation that's got to go into effect prior to the start of the school district. And I sent it around to my policy committee members. My apologies for not sending it around to the entire school board. But as part of the NYSBA News Blast, they were talking about various school districts that have also passed similar policies. And I was reading about some school districts and the ways in which their policies were written, and it was very interesting, the difference between various communities. So, for example, if I'm not mistaken, there's, just to give from a reference, there is, what school district is this? One school district, if a student no longer has money and is able to receive a free or reduced lunch, a student no longer has money, they give them an emergency meal. If other school districts say, we're going to give students, we're never going to worry about what the money is, we're going to keep giving you a lunch, and after the third time that you no longer provide money for lunch, then we're going to try to incur some social services that maybe assist with the family. The point or reason why I'm thinking about this is I'm reminded that Dr. Brown keeps having a conversation about us leading with love. And I want to make sure we write a policy about student lunches that is actually one from love and not punitive, saying I'm not going to feed you food. For the most part, we have that. There's two things that I would question. So, for example, the second bullet point, if we could, it says allow only regular reimbursable meals to be charged. I don't know if we need the phrase only regular, if we only just say allow reimbursable meals, just in terms of language, it seems like it's a little bit overboard, it's not that big. But then on if we keep going down,
Take it out?
I have not made, I'd have to make an official motion, I have not done it yet. We'll hold on
Go
for a
ahead
second.
and finish your thought.
Yeah, if we move down to that paragraph where it says parents and caregivers, no, keep going, my apologies. That big paragraph right there, the Ithaca City School Nutrition Program. It says in the middle of the paragraph, the Ithaca City School District Nutrition Program will work with families with outstanding balances to develop a payment plan to pay back the debt or to assist families with applying for free and reduced lunch for their children. there to me seemed to be the place where we can have a conversation similar to what Monticello had said, and or connect with other social services, but to not ever deny a child lunch and not talk about any sort of emergency lunch. Just, you get lunch.
Yeah.
And when I asked Denise Agati what the cost of this was, I don't know if I mentioned this last board meeting, is this a problem? What is this costing us per year? If I'm not mistaken, her goal, I think she said about $20,000 is what the cost is of all the lunches and the meal plans that we don't get paid back. So it's significant, but it's not crushing our budget currently. So I don't know if there's anything else in reading this that we should do, so long winded of saying this, my plan would be to pass the policy as is, but if we can send it back briefly to policy committee, hopefully effectively, just think if there's any other language that we can think about or process that as one that's just about love, and go from there. Or we can deal with it now. I'm done.
Moira, then Pat.
Well, I do remember at that meeting where I was the only one there, or maybe it was at another meeting. I mean, Denise definitely, there is, students do not get an emergency meal. They don't get a special meal. They don't get, it used to be they get peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
That's right.
I remember that.
Right.
But they get a regular meal. And they would never deny a child a meal. Denise did not want that explicit in the policy because she feared that that would open a door to people taking advantage.
And if I could add to that, she did make the point to say, and I don't know that it was as much as $20,000. I think it had been, but they were keeping it lower. But that's because they're in ongoing regular contact with parents and working with parents. And she said she didn't really get negative pushback from that parents want to contribute to their kids. And I think that what she's doing is effective and it's good for the district financially, and there's no lunch shaming going on. All the schools have been have been trained not to bring this to the attention of children, and just to have Denise and her staff work behind the scenes with parents. But I think her concern was that it could become a significant financial burden.
Absolutely.
And so what we had here reflects current practice, which is, I think, in line with New York State and federal regulations, and is working for working for
There, in fact, was lunch shaming going on last year.
Yeah.
This is a new
Yeah.
process for us, that we are now no longer engaging in lunch shaming. By that I mean we would talk directly to students about their balances in front of other students. We were
Yes.
doing that. At the secondary level, I don't think we're doing it at the elementary school level. We will not be doing that now any longer. The only thing and I appreciate that, thank you again, especially for our policy committee folks who have been embroiled in this for quite some time. The only other question I have for our board is, it says at the bottom, staff members are not allowed to charge meals to be repaid later. I can tell you as a staff member, I've definitely gone to school without my wallet, without money, and you mean to tell me that if I walked through the lunch line that I wouldn't be able to charge a meal just to get through the day? I understand why that's there, but is that a policy that we want to have as a district, that we tell our teachers that they can't for a meal? And I don't know if that's practice, but that is currently what policy says.
No soup
Legal
for you.
issues with this? Yeah. I mean,
Given free
I
lunch.
actually, I wouldn't mind double checking the regulations on, I do recall that there may be a USDA regulation
That
that
says-
says that only children should be permitted to charge
Charge
meals.
lunches.
Yeah, but I can certainly clarify that and let you know.
With that being said, though, we also have a process of our, and not to fight this, we have a process of our own school building of how we pay for lunches. That may be outside of USDA. It's how we charge for lunches and pay for lunches, isn't that right? Our own, I'm just asking. All right, fine, leave it as is and we'll go from there, I'll take a look. So it's been moved and seconded, you've heard all my objections, it is what it is.
we want to make that one change about where that phrase that was kind of only regular,
Yeah.
only regular get out, yeah.
There was some question regarding, the definition of the regular meal being allowed to, if you had an a la carte item on your tray, is it going to be taken off
Well,
Is that-
that's
and
the question that I asked Denise about how they would do that, because under the law, they are not allowed to charge à la carte items.
Right.
So I had the question, so what happens if kids got an à la carte item on their tray? How do you discreetly handle the
Right.
fact that that
Was there an-
cannot be charged?
Was there an answer to that?
No.
Well, but she did make the point that that only happens at the secondary level, that elementary kids don't get to add on ice cream and
la carte,
snacks and
yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Well, no, but still, I'm talking about all the kids, so I was just wondering what the procedure was. Because last year we were
Talking to folk.
talking to kids and lunch shaming, or whatever they call it.
Okay.
Lunch shaming in one way or the other. So just wondering what, if we're going to change the practice, how is the policy going to reflect the practice that we wish to see?
Yeah, I can ask Denise that.
But I'm more than happy to vote and pass the policy, knowing that we're going to just take another look at it. Because, Sean, we can amend policies anytime we want.
Yeah, we're moving at such a rapid like speed that we should,
Policies can be changed.
That's right.
But we can at least have the policy.
Yeah.
A policy.
Yeah.
Right.
And I will follow up just for information practice as well with Denise, just so we have the answer.
Right.
Could you go back up to the very top of the page? There, okay. The purpose of this policy is to ensure, is it ensure or ensure?
How I received it.
Huh?
I think
how I
it would-
received
should
it.
be insured.
Yeah.
And sure, yes.
Beauty. Anything else from the group? You ready to vote, Sean? And again, we're clear on
Voting as is, yeah.
voting out as is without any, with only an I changing to an E, and that's not a, don't have to move.
No, that we
No,
don't.
you took out the thing down below.
Yeah, take out only regular.
We'll do it, let's do it.
Oh, wow. Should we leave only?
Allow reimbursable meals to be charged. It's pretty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Yeah. Okay. With those adjustments? Okay. It's been moved, seconded, correct? With those adjustments? All in favor? That's everyone. Perfect. Great. Dr. Brown, goals and metrics. Is this your bailiwick? Is that a word? That's a word.
I wish to take this opportunity to alert the board and the community that these new hot off the press signs will be up in this building, in all of our buildings in the near future. And it outlines the new recently approved board goals, ICSD goals now. That's a shift in the language. Let's go city school district goals going forward. And I won't read them, one, because I can't, I'm too close. But folks, it's in the board's Dropbox, you'll see these all around. And it really represents the values of our community right now. Staff has gone through, with the board's support and collaboration, added metrics to accompany these particular goals. These metrics are bold. It will be challenging to meet these metrics, including 100% graduation rates, including co-curricular enrollment with the major shift, and a shift I'm seeing school districts around our state and country now pick up on is we're going for 100%. We have some, yes, our metrics are bold, and it will take a lot of effort to reach them, but they also have 100% there. So we really are speaking to our wishes to meet the needs of every young person, which is now more important than ever. And these goals are something that we have. So just wanted to share that this is going to be up and open it up for any discussion, comments on the process, final thoughts, as this has been about a 6 or 7 month process to come up with these as we work together with the board and team. Yeah.
As board members, how do we get one of those to put in our house?
I have one in my office. Let me frame it for you.
I like the simplification. Right, we went from 5 goals to 3 goals. A little easier to focus some energy and attention on that. It's helpful to see it for me, so I appreciate that.
And we'll put it up in that corner as it was before.
Excellent.
Yeah. We put these metrics in front of some administrators and teachers already, and it does raise eyebrows. It pushes our work in ways we haven't been pushed before. So.
You know, just one thing that like popped out at me when I read this is like it's 100%, 100%, 100%. When you get to the bottom, it's like, well, at least 80% of parents. And I mean, it maybe 100% isn't practical there, but it sticks out only because the other ones are like, you know,
Yeah.
we want everything.
And frankly, that's going to how we're able to capture the data right now. And it's going, you know, we have a community-wide survey we administer every year, and our response rates have gone down significantly each year. So much so where this last spring, it's tough to even get good data from it. So we can shift that number. When we get more than 5% of our community responding to the survey, that allows us to capture this data. So for us to put 100% there,
I'm not saying we should, I'm just saying.
it would speak to us not really understanding data more than anything else. But yeah, I hope that we can get.
Wait, so you have like 5%, so is it 80% realistic?
It can, yeah. I think we just, yeah.
Something
we
to
can get
work
there.
towards.
Yeah, okay.
Something to work towards. And we're thinking about creative ways to get every family and every student to complete that survey. And we have to do that in order to get to this 80%. Yeah.
Right, go ahead.
I appreciate the 100%, as you know. I prefer it that way. I don't know how we can argue we have high expectations for our students if we don't have high expectations for ourselves, for our faculty and staff. I just don't know how you can rationalize that we're going to have high expectations for students, but 80% is okay for us for graduation rate, or whatever. I just don't know how to do that. As you know, I'm very disappointed in the Commissioner of Education saying that 200,000 children in this state just aren't worth the effort. I disagree with that. I'm disappointed in it.
Agreed. But I think we've seen this for a few months now. So we're glad that it's up and running for the 17-18 school year and beyond. And beyond.
So thank you for your support.
Anything else on? And not to minimize what that means or what this piece of paper means. There's much work that has gone into this over multiple years for our 5 goals, and now have 3 ICSD goals, and well, just talking to just those administrators that were leading orientation sessions. I was there at lunch, but talking to them about the morning sessions and just talking about the mission and vision of the district, and just we mean it. We mean all, and the mission and vision of our district is critical, and getting that buy-in by not only the new hires and the new teachers and the new administrators is critical, but obviously keeping our current staff aware that our focus has not changed, and actually I think we're trying to refocus, and that's why we have 3, and that's why we need to keep moving forward, because if we don't, I think we just start slipping back, because then eventually the Commissioner of Ed is, what was her goal?
95.
Around 95. Well, so then we start choosing who succeeds and who doesn't.
Exactly.
It's not up to, we don't have that power. We can't choose who is going to be successful. So it's, and neither should the state of New York or anyone else. But so great work. And E, go ahead.
I'm making a pitch for next year already that we consider adding some case study work or project-based learning to our goals. And I have no idea what the engagement level is now, so I'm not going to hypothesize a percentage, but I know it's increasing as a priority and importance for our leader and even our individual teachers. So let's onward and upward.
So in an effort to have the shortest public meeting on record, is there anything else we need to discuss tonight?
One
Go
item.
ahead.
I'd like to hear what the kindergarten registration is, so that everybody here knows what your number is and how we're responding to it.
Mike, is it 470 today? He's looking it up for me right now. So
What did you say?
let me frame it while he's looking
So,
for that
and
number.
I'll help you frame it.
Yeah.
Right now, we only have 2 cohorts over 400.
Yeah.
Yes.
We've got the rising 4th graders, I think it is. The rising 4th graders were 416 at the end of last year, and the rising 9th graders were slightly over 400. So 470, if that's the number, is
Longest
There's
class.
about there that are
We've
half
had in
registered,
years.
so it's really close to 470. The next closest is 4th grade at 436.
Yeah, and 391 was the kindergarten last year.
Wow.
So,
Just to give you a
That's
feel.
impressive.
So
One,
that's
we-
why I think everybody here should hear how you're
yeah.
responding to
We
this.
have added some sections. 2, we added a section at Caroline Elementary, no, we added a section at South Hill, and we added a section at Northeast. And there are other schools who may need us to add a section, but we are going to wait to open school to see what our class sizes are looking like before we come, well, at the next board meeting, whether or not we are adding a section in those buildings as well. We're hearing from families that folks want to be in Ithaca, so they're moving in for our school district, and we're seeing that play out in our numbers. And it speaks to us needing to do some demography work, as the board's been asking for years. But now we really going to have to rethink, think through
The
this
question becomes, is this the beginning of a trend or not? Because we've been,
flat.
well, our elementary numbers are right about 400 a cohort, a little under, a little over, depending on the class. This is a big difference.
Yeah,
And if this is a trend,
it's a good trend to have.
it's a good trend. Just
But we're going to have to respond.
what we've learned is if you're going to build classrooms and things like that, you need to start a couple years ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, something.
Are there any other growth years or overall, it's just kindergartners?
That's what I understand is kindergartners. So this would be children born after the economic crisis was over.
Yeah.
It also probably speaks to what's taking place in our community over the past 2 years, in particular with housing and the job market. So it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I think if I'm not mistaken, we're the only county in upstate New York that gained population.
Right.
And Saratoga.
Is that Saratoga as well?
I saw that. Right.
So, it'd be interesting, and I thought that population may be workers and not necessarily families or transient folks, but if it's gonna be it's time to do some demography work. If it's gonna be families moving in with children, that's a
Well,
change.
I'll also throw out that, maybe it's anecdotal evidence, but I'm meeting a lot of people with new babies around.
Who are you telling?
Yeah.
Right, baby boom generation and post-economic recession, interesting.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I read one article that talked about 3 upstate small cities that were growing. You left Saratoga, Ithaca, and Beacon. It was fun. It mentioned three upstate small cities that were growing and that their downtown, because all their downtowns actually had construction, and those are the 3.
Is classroom space an issue? then?
Yes.
When we have an extra section, I mean, are we able to accommodate?
Well, those of you on facilities, that was brought up.
That was brought up, and that's, I mean, if we're talking about cohorts now being 450 plus,
That's a whole other,
it's a little different.
Yeah.
And plus,
Where are
remember, when we used to be at those numbers 2 decades ago, you didn't have pre-K.
Yeah, pre-K, right.
Now we got pre-K classrooms, so you've got, if we're gonna be going back to cohorts of that size and we're taking care of pre-K, you're gonna be short classroom
It's in a
space.
different classroom usage as well, just pedagogically speaking, than 20 years ago. Some of those classrooms may not be available. We can do different things, computer labs, photo labs, et cetera. It's gonna be interesting to see. We have to have
So
some
that's
real
why we need to have
conversations.
the conversation
About
about
the work for the facilities.
both demographically, but also pedagogically, what's
Yeah.
the classroom gonna need to look like?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't wanna build, 6 or 8 classrooms that look just like these if nobody wants to use those.
But
Right, do you need 6 more boxes, or do you need
Something different.
flexible spaces, or whatever, depending on the They tried flexible spaces a long time ago.
They tried that.
When they built, pointing into it, and then they put up walls.
Yeah.
We remember that, those of us who remember.
So I'm not sure that's the answer.
Flexible kindergarten space, that's
Yeah, exactly.
Thank
So-
you for asking the question.
Yeah,
Thanks, Brad, for
something for us to deal with.
I didn't hear that from the administrators today, so I'm glad you brought that up, Brad. So it'd be nice to know these things, you know.
Well, Brad looks at our counts daily, so.
Board members don't like to be surprised.
There's numbers are somewhere. If there's nothing else, no other business, I will just take a look at the upcoming calendar. August 29th, Dr. Brown?
Yeah.
That
Development
is
session next Tuesday,
next Tuesday, 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
And that location, I think
We'll
we're
send out-
clear on the location. You're going to send it
Yes,
out?
I'll send out the
Okay.
location.
But that is next Tuesday. So, and then convocation on the 5th, correct? 8:30
Yes.
for those of us who can make it, or those who want to hang out.
Yeah, 8:30 on the 5th, and we will be doing lunch as well, sponsored by all the collective bargaining.
We like lunch. Lunch is good. So those are the next dates that we'll get together are certainly, looks like next Tuesday, right? Anything else?
Yeah,
Pat, please.
Sean, the Tuesday, September 5th policy is still on here. We have decided to move the September 5th policy.
I'm hoping that, I sent you an email, hoping that we'll be working on it. Yep.
Move it to September 11th, right?
Yes,
Monday, September 11th.
before the, yes, yep,
And what time would it be, 5 o'clock?
whatever time works for you all.
That can be 5.
5.
5.
That'll be confirmed quickly. You should have an email in your inbox from yesterday.
Anything
Thank you.
else? And then all the other dates kind of flow and we'll get together. Anything else? Are we good? Dr. Brown, anything else?
That's it.
The kids kind of start coming back whether you like it or not.
Whether you're ready or not.
Ready or not, here they are.
Sounds
So,
like you'll be ready.
yeah, so I think certainly talking to Mr. Trumbull today, everyone's pretty excited just to get started. And always, I think everyone feels better when the kids are back in the buildings. So that's it's about time. So great. Without objection, we are adjourned.